Welcome back to the gun channel. Today's video is going to be a bit of a follow-up review or a part 3 to the CZ Scorpion. Specifically sort of how I have it set up now and how I've been running it and its relationship to its intended purposes, as well as its relationship to how I use it with my other guns and some of my takeaway from it. If you want to have a full in-depth review of this, I think part 2 on the gun channel to the CZ Scorpion EVO 3 is probably the most power-packed as far as information about it. And so this is going to be a follow-up, like I said, on that. And yeah, let's get right into it. If you've watched some of the videos on the channel, you may have seen I did a carbine course, a level 1 carbine course, to where I took my 300 blackout build. There's a nice video on that if you're interested on the channel, so check that out after this. And I wasn't able to run that because I got a safety stick stuck in the barrel, but that's another story. And I ended up running the CZ Scorpion through that course. A part of me is really glad that I was able to do that. It really allowed me to think about this weapon in a CQB way. Doing the drills from that course, which were a lot of intuitive shooting or point shooting, combat effectiveness targeting, and how well this did compared to other people on the course, and just to sort of see the comparison. Not one's better than the other, just noting some benefits and drawbacks to any system that you use. Overall experience over the last year and coming up on a couple of thousand rounds, and again running it through some classes, was the trigger is becoming more and more comfortable. The safety mechanism, the way I have it set up where it's kind of sort of ambi, is working well for me, so I do like that. This paddle release is definitely doable or serviceable. I like that. I like leaving the iron sights on. The iron sights are really good. If any of you have the CZ Scorpion, you know what I'm talking about. Very good sights. This red dot is still, I think, a really perfect match for this particular firearm, so I highly recommend that. If I lost this red dot, I would probably buy another one for this particular weapon. Again, you can watch part 1 or part 2 to the CZ Scorpion to go down the rabbit hole on some of this stuff. A lot of you had questions on the kind of sling that I'm running, and I remember sort of being curious on what the best sling is for the CZ Scorpion. I do like this 2-point setup with these H&K style clips, and I actually do prefer those. There are companies offering different ways to attach things to your CZ Scorpion. I think I like this, works just fine. And most of these clips have an opportunity so you can go to single point, like so. And after running the class, one of my big takeaways is there's so many different ways to run your strap or your sling on your particular firearm. Just for carrying this weapon around and just general purpose use and being able to access it, this 2-point sling works fine. When I started getting into drills where I started getting much more dynamic and moving around a lot more, and getting into magazine switches, I found that the strap could sometimes get in the way of the magazine switch and the controls, where I could see it being more beneficial to go to a single point sling like this. And when that happened, that would obviously free up, well, I guess I'll put it on and show you. When doing that, it definitely frees up all this space right here to manipulate the weapon. And the strap just isn't in the way. And also while running and getting down on the ground and moving around objects and things like this, the strap just seemed to work better. Yeah, just freeing the space up right here makes a lot of sense for me, and I like that. I guess the area where I had the most problem with the CZ Scorpion, as far as getting it to a place where I loved it, you know what I mean, liked it versus loved it, is this area up here. Now, compared to an AR-15 style platform, I do love the charging handle up front. Absolutely love it. Versus back here, it can be really awkward for me pulling that back on an AR-15 platform. And so I do have a new appreciation for the location of this charging handle. I really like it. However, it does have a lot of stuff going on up here. 8-inch barrel with this overly sized rail. So I've ended up having a BCM angled grip cut off because that's the way I like it. And I ended up putting this Enforce light on here, which is, I would grade this light as like a B+ light. I do like the design. It matches up nicely if you're into that kind of a stuff. But I don't like the light throw compared to a Surefire or a ProTac light from Streamlight. So it works fine. It's just more of a sort of a flood, 400 lumen flood, and it doesn't have like a tight beam or a tight candela in it, but it works fine. It's no big deal. I do like the function of it, how just momentary only, and you can have permanent on and off by throwing that switch and then double tap for rave party. But that's the light I put on here, and I like it just fine, and it allows for my particular hand and what's comfortable for me to sort of get a hold of this hand stop here and almost some sort of weird modified C grip over this light, and it works great. And then to access the light, I could go to this vibe right here and it works fine. So this area right here gets pretty congested, but I figured out a way to sort of make it work for me for now. I do appreciate how light this weapon is when running the course and carrying it around on my back all day, doing an 8-hour course with it, sort of simulating, I don't know, civil unrest or zombie apocalypse. And the idea of carrying a weapon system around with you for a long period of time, this weapon definitely seems to advance in that area. And I know you can build some super light AR-15 platforms, and there are some other really great platforms. So this goes for a general, just a nice pistol caliber carbine, or just a light carbine in general. Let's see, this is an unscripted review, so just forgive me for kind of bouncing around a little bit. Overall, my enjoyment and running this system through a course, and like I said, putting a couple of thousand rounds through it, have a really high appreciation for it. Go into the 9mm caliber. I think there's a company that makes 185 grain 9mm. That makes a very compelling and interesting caliber with the modern ammunition for a home defense. For running this, the range of this weapon for me is 25 yards or less is just amazing. Absolutely adore it. But beyond 25 yards, certainly possible for sure. But just running it super fast and having this thing live in its sweet zone at 25 yards or less is wonderful. And then more important than that probably is how fast I can move and run with this thing and go around structures and stuff. It's a really nimble weapon. Flexibility, manipulating, even if I were doing CQB and I still wanted to use my support hand, it's quite easy to do that, to where it's almost pistol-like. It is technically a pistol, but it's very pistol-like as far as still having hands-free and manipulating the situation. Very pistol-like. So that's cool. So I guess to close it down a bit is that I really enjoyed this weapon because I've been so successful using it in the environments that I've wanted to use it in, and it's in a place that makes sense, close range, CQB, home defense stuff. It's still fitting that description so well that I had a 300 blackout build, and like I said, you can go back on the channel and find that, which I really liked, but I found that it got really close to the CZ Scorpion. So this is the same lower that I had for the 300 blackout build, and this is a 5.56 upper that I just recently put on it, and I'm about to do a video on that real quick right after this one. So check it out. Stick around the channel for that. The subsonic 220 grain was lovely, but it wasn't that much different of an animal than a 185 grain 9mm with hollow point type situation. So granted, you get the benefit to go in supersonic with a 300 blackout. Didn't make a lot of sense for me to have a 300 blackout build for subsonic use for home defense and this the CZ Scorpion, especially after running a class with it and getting that much more training on it. I felt super comfortable with the Scorpion. So in short, the Scorpion has proved itself, and it's kept itself worthy to keep around. That's the CZ Scorpion. This is how I have it set up now. This is a strap that's adjustable, and this is sort of the light I have on it. That's really the main difference that I have with it relative to the first two videos I made on the CZ Scorpion. And I have a lot more rounds through it, and I'm definitely gonna end up keeping that. And that is probably, it's my primary weapon that I'll go to when I'm at home. When it's in the closet, I tend to keep that one ready to go. And what's next on this Scorpion, I think, is I still have my Osprey 9 suppressor that's still gonna be going on this, and it should be getting out of jail in the next few months, hopefully. And when that goes on there, I think this weapon will be pretty much set, good to go, as you see it here now. 9mm, plenty of magazines. I'm okay with the light setup on it. Whatever the Osprey 9 is, comes out to about right here. I'm gonna be really enjoying this little package. Very practical for many, many purposes. Certainly for hobby, for sharing this firearm with my kids and friends and family, for the fun factor, especially after the suppressor goes on it. Oh my gosh, you know, and reliability, something I noticed, not to shit on the AR-15 platform, but you know, there were 10 other AR-15 style weapons out there and AK-47 style weapons, and some of them are having failures, and there's a lot to that. You know, there's probably a lot of shit. We probably weren't running a lot of really great ammo out there, so I'm not saying that AR-15s are unreliable, like quite the opposite. But this has been way more reliable in my personal experience, sample size of me, than any of the AR platforms, as reliable as they are. So the reliability and the low level of malfunctions on this particular weapon is very appealing as well. So, like I said, there's a lot of moving parts, and just experience of putting hundreds of rounds through this and feeling more and more confident with it the more I use it, and the more I'm drawn to it to have this at the ready for anything that might happen at my home or zombie apocalypse. This was a unscripted review or follow-up review on the CZ Scorpion. Again, please check out video number 1 and 2 on this if you're more interested in it, and it's a little bit more formatted. Real quick, I want to mention huge supporters to the gun channel. Number 1, it has to be Evoke Studio. That's my company that I co-own with Jessica. We use a lot of our time and equipment in order to provide some of this content for you. So if you're interested in any kind of wedding photography, or you need any kind of production for your business, for commercial broadcast television, we have a small production company as well. Please check out www.evokestudio.io. Also, another supporter of the channel is TRYBE.com, and that's where we train. They give us a lot of access to their facility, and we appreciate that, and that's a huge benefit and help to the gun channel as well. Force IMI is a huge supporter of the channel. They help give us access to training courses and access to their students, and as far as interviews and things like that, that is really helpful now and will continue to be more helpful moving forward. So a big thanks to Evoke Studio, tradecraftrange.com, as well as Force IMI for being huge supporters of the channel. That's that. My name is Mike. You're at the Gun Channel. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. I hope all the ECZ fanboys have enjoyed this video. And again, please check out the other 2 videos that are up on the channel for this to go into more of an in-depth review on this particular firearm. And I hope you've got some value out of this, and I hope to see you guys back here soon. Thanks.